Not a problem. Hey, look, I'm not trying to be out here on no Jason Blair stuff either. So, I mean, shouts out to those of us who remember Jason Blair. If you know, you know. Yeah. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new Chris 2 Cents, the podcast where a writer, myself, Chris Stevens, is going to talk about his 2 cents with common sense. Hopefully, you all are doing well out there on this Thursday. Um, I said I was going to be back with a journalism story, and I had a whole different story in mind, but there was something else that happened, of course, during the course of the week. That, of course, is the verdict of Sean Combs being found guilty on 2 of 5 charges against him in a South District of New York court. 2 of the charges were not the main ones. The main ones were the RICO and the trafficking were the ones he was actually acquitted of. And that stung a lot for women on social media, especially victims of domestic partnership violence and sexual assault and things of that nature. And it was really hard to watch, people reliving those nightmares in real time, because while the prostitution charges that he's convicted of do carry jail time, I really don't think he's going to see that much of inside of a jail cell, if at all, to be quite honest with you, because money talks and we all know what walks. That was really the underlying moral of the story of this case, or what have you. And it was hard to watch, but it made me think of a story that I wrote for my day job last summer around this time. And I guess I probably should have seen it coming, considering how much effort I put into the story that I investigated, researched, reported, and it just kind of sort of went away. Like literally nothing happened. So this is story time. This is okay. So trigger warning. There will be mentions of, bullying, harassment, and different things of that nature. So if those are sensitive topics for you, you can skip this video. But if you really want to know what happens when you research a story like the one that I did last summer, then you can stick around. So it really starts actually this month last year, July 2024. For us in the sports writing world, it's really a slow season, especially for those of us who cover college sports, because, well, everybody's on break. And I saw a story about, a university having problems with a coach who ended up being released from their contract due to their conduct and their assistants' conduct towards players. So it was something that was HBCU related. So I got the okay to summarize it and aggregate it for our website. So I thought that was just going to be it. I mean, it was just, like, this is literally, only a handful of programs have, handful of schools have this program. So it's not really going to matter. I mean, it matters, but just for privacy's sake, no names will be said or anything like that. So imagine my surprise when my boss hits me up a few days later saying, "Chris, I got an email here. I think that's related to that last item that you published. You might want to look into this." And it gets forwarded to me. And it is a very angry parent about how her daughter was bullied, how her daughter was assaulted, her daughter got in trouble for being assaulted, and how the coach and the athletic administration, did nothing about it. So I reached out to this parent and got, to talk to her. And again, like, this woman was furious. Like, it does. I don't even think furious underscores or properly states just how good and ticked off this woman was. And I listened, and she said, "My daughter would want to talk, and there are a few other parents who feel the same way. They might be able to get their daughters to talk as well." And I said, "All right, looks like I got a story on my hands." The parent that reached out to me originally got me contact information for other parents, but a couple of other parents just reached out to me directly after I gave the original parent my information. And their kids started coming to me and started telling me their stories, and a lot of their stories were absolutely harrowing. One person was bullied because of a disorder. Another one was, pushed through, health and safety concerns and all of these other things. And it was a very, very, very tough thing. Like I told the young ladies, as I was talking to them, I've been doing this for over 20 years. I've been doing this longer than y'all have been alive. And all of the things that y'all have told me, this is some of the most bizarre sugar honey iced tea I have ever heard in my life. Like the stuff that made it to print wasn't even as bad as the stuff they told me, because a lot of the stuff they were like, I really want to exercise confidentiality and not have that published, and because it's like too graphic and different things of that nature. And as a journalist, your job is to report the story, but at the same time, you're supposed to be respectful and mindful of people's triggers and respect the people you're talking to, especially their humanity. And I mean, I wasn't gonna, break these young ladies' trust at all. Not a chance. So I said, all right, the stuff that you tell me, cool. But whatever you don't want to go in this story, let me know before you say it. So I mean, I could take the notes, but then I'll just make a note alongside of it that, not for print. And that's what they did. And I had to research court dates. I had to research um you know everything under the sun as far as like social media presence and all of that stuff. And parents and kids were really good about providing, formal complaints, uh stuff, responses on university letterhead and all of this stuff. And it was probably, again, as a sports writer, you never think that you're going to turn into an investigative reporter on a crime beat situation. You never think of sports like that. You always think of sports as who won, who lost, who did this, who did that. How did they get better? How did they improve? How big is this win? How bad is this loss? Blah, 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 blah. You never think in terms of being a sports writer that you're going to be sitting here in the dead of summer researching court cases. But that's what this business calls for, man. You got to be ready for all things at all times. That's one thing that I want to impress upon any young journalist that is watching this or listening to this. You got to be ready for everything. You got to be ready for everything, because if you can prove yourself to be indispensable and versatile and flexible, not going to say that every editor and newsroom appreciates it, but there are many out there that will. So it may be lost on you for this job, but the next job, somebody's going to see that and say, "Oh, we got a star on our hands." That's the way business works. I mean, some organizations, I mean, they live for telling the truth. Other organizations, as you can see by now, are just living to appease a dictator. Thankfully for me, I work for an organization who's committed to the truth. And my boss was adamant about this. He said, "Chris, you got to make sure all your bases are covered. I mean, we're gonna double check this, we're gonna triple check this, we're gonna make sure everything is to the letter." Not a problem. Hey, look, I'm not trying to be out here on no Jason Blair stuff either. So, I mean, shouts out to those of us who remember Jason Blair. If you know, you know. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I was like, I ain't trying to be out here on no Jason Blair stuff either. So yeah, let's double, triple, quadruple, do what we gotta do. And once it passed my boss and my senior editor, it was like, all right, let's run it. And I mean, we ran this story second week of August. Now, mind you, most kids are coming back on campus the second week of August. So this is the time when college sports really starts to pick up. It's important to know, when you run a story like this, you need to have both sides. You cannot one side this thing. Even though I had quotes and comments from multiple parents, multiple athletes, and a educational advocate. Like, I talked to everybody that I could. It was in the double digits. Trust me, I talked to so many people. But you got to be able to talk to the people, the accused, if you will. So I reached out to the university. I reached out to the coach, didn't hear back. Reached out to the athletic director, got forwarded to somebody in the communications office, never heard back. Went straight to the president's office, left voicemails and emails and everything, never heard back. So, I mean, if they're not going to respond, and I'm not going to sit here and play judge, jury, and executioner, but if you're not going to respond, at least it tells me that there's something where there's smoke, there's fire. And it just literally just wowed me that as much effort as I put into, reaching out to these folks, they just didn't even want to say no comment, or, there's an ongoing internal investigation. None of that. Just we tried it. We tried everybody at that university and got a no comment. I mean, and didn't get any comment. It was really, really frustrating. But what frustrating was the most was that one of my colleagues at my job, he was like, because we did a podcast about it later on, and he was like, it's just unfortunate that this is going to go away because people really don't care. And I mean, this dude is younger than I am, and for him to say that, it should have resonated with me. Not that he was being negative, but he was just being realistic about it. And truth of the matter is, he was right, because I mean, that story went nowhere fast, despite all the effort, despite all the hustle, all the conversations, all the communication, all the fact checking. It went away. And I think that's the thing that bothers me the most about the Diddy thing, is because I've seen what it does up close, because I mean, there have been reporters who've been reporting on this ad nauseum. I mean, the Rolling Stone piece was just absolutely damning on its own. But when the legendary Danielle Smith, who is one of the great Black music writers and Black writers, period, of our day, mentioned how she feared for her life when that dude tried to run up in the offices of Vibe one day because he didn't like something she wrote. Like, and then for people putting their lives at risk to testify against this dude, to tell stories, and then for him to get off on something as simple as prostitution. Being granted, prostitution isn't simple, but that's not what this case was about. This case was about human trafficking, violence against women and other people, sexual violence, all sorts of different depraved things, and it just didn't stick. I don't know how it didn't stick. Oh, no, wait, I know how it didn't stick. Once a social media mutual of mine told me that the jury was 8 men, 4 women, it all made sense. And it was very disappointing, but not surprising, because we as men still have a long way to go with how we treat women, if we ever get into the space of admitting that we have a problem with how we treat women. I mean, those are the facts. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, there's a groundswell of support, when we have, a government that has taken away every single right to a woman's body that a woman should have. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, we're going to have this utopian moment, this kumbaya moment where men figure out, oh, we don't own women. We don't own their bodies. They can do whatever they want. They're human beings. They can make their own choices. And yes, we have to accept that they don't want to be bothered with us if that's what they choose. And I understand how the journalists feel, because they put in the work on this too, and they could possibly be in jeopardy too, because not only are the victims at risk for speaking out against this dude, the people who reported it are at risk. Because I mean, Diddy's that MFer is vengeful. I mean, he's no different than the dude sitting in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. They're two peas from the same pot. Like, if you cross them, there's no going back. And they will do everything in their power to make your life a living hell, or even stop your life altogether. So I don't think I have to worry about that with respect to this institution, because, well, the athletic director mentioned passed away unexpectedly last year, and the president of the university is still the president of the university. I mean, but I don't think that person has any real, hard on for revenge for anybody, because he never responded. But it is what it is. I mean, it's unfortunate, but I wanted to tell this story because I felt like it was something important. It was something that not only journalists can take lessons from this, because a lot of your work is not going to be the grand story that you think it is, but it's still an important story to tell. It's really that simple. I mean, nobody really there are only a handful of Pulitzer Prize winners every year. Not everybody wins a journalism award every year, but people still remember, the stuff that sticks with them. And that's what you got to try to do as a journalist: report the facts and present them in such a way that people cannot turn away. Like the way Jim DeRogatis did in his work in finally putting R. Kelly away. Like that dude is journalism gold until he passes on to the next life or whatever. But I think that's more important than anything else. I mean, like, I wasn't expecting anything major, but I was expecting some changes. I was expecting at least finally hear back from the institution, that was overseeing this madness. But that story just sailed away. And it was frustrating because I feel bad for those young ladies because they confided in me about a lot of stuff. Again, I will put the link in the description below so you guys can check it out yourself and you can let me know what you think. Drop a comment, tell me what you think about, the process of, I told you guys about putting the story together. Let me know what you think about the story. And these young ladies confided in me a lot. Again, the stuff that did not make it to print was horrible. The stuff that did was pretty bad, but it just didn't, go over as well as I thought it would. And I think that's probably because, again, we don't respect, victims, especially female victims, women victims of any type of violence, harassment, whatever. I mean, we got some work to do. But the problem is how many people want to admit that there's work to be done. And that's going to do it for this edition of Chris 2 Cents. That's my 2 cents for this episode. Greatly appreciate y'all for watching. Contact information will be in the description below. Like and comment on the videos so you can get this channel to grow. And, again, I'll put the link to the story in the description so you guys can check it out. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe and tap that notification bell so you get notified of all the new videos that drop on this channel. Again, this is my 2 cents channel where I talk about all things journalism, creative writing, self-help, things in that lane. So thank you all for watching. Greatly appreciate y'all as always. And until the next time we speak, y'all be good or be good at it.